Welcome back to all of you. Today we will have a video on 1 and 2 marks question answers from the point of view of first chapter. But we haven't discussed some of the unit to deal with the question answers. Whatever we haven't dealt so far in the first chapter, an introduction to economics, microeconomics, we are going to deal now in the 2 marks because this much answer is sufficient to understand the concept of micro and macro, as well as what we are going to study in microeconomics as well as in macroeconomics with relation to positive economics and normative economics. These are the 2 topics we haven't covered. Now we will cover this one in the 2 marks because there is a 2 marks question from the point of view of exams as well as 1 marks question with related to this 1 marks question. So let us see complete details of this 2 topics what we haven't covered. So first of all, difference between micro and macroeconomics. Let us be clear. The entire economic theory, economics, has been broadly divided into 2 parts, microeconomics and macroeconomics. So what is the entire subject matter of economics has been divided into microeconomics and macroeconomics. Are we clear so far? So after understanding the entire economics has been divided into 2 parts. So who is the father of microeconomics? Microeconomics. So some regard the father of economics, Adam Smith, as the father or the beginner. But more precisely, microeconomics has been developed by Alfred Marshall. Alfred Marshall is an economist who gave a better clarity and picture to microeconomics. So who is the father of macroeconomics? It is none other than John Maynard Keynes. John Maynard Keynes is the father of economics, macroeconomics. And before that, the mercantile economists mercantile economists were using this macroeconomics. But precisely it was developed very systematically and scientifically by John Maynard Keynes. But this economics were studied differently. The economic subject matter of economics was studied differently. Therefore, entire subject matter of economics has been divided into 2 parts. As we study, we will come to know how they are different, how their approach is different, how do they understand each unit is different. It's the same variable, but their understanding is different. Therefore, it is a micro as well as macro. You can see some of the concepts that comes in micro. The same concept appears in macro, but its understanding is differently. So let us see them as it comes. But so far I haven't given any question answers for you for the 2 marks. Only I have given you a general introduction. So the 2 terms, micro and macroeconomics, 2 terms were first coined by and used by a professor named Ragnar Fischer. Ragnar, R-A-G-N-A-R, Ragnar Fischer, F-I-S-C-E-R, Fischer. In 1933, he is a professor in Oslo University, Sweden. The term micro is been derived from Greek word micro. Economics means only micro has been derived from Greek word micros, M-I-K-R-O-S, micros, which means small. Micro means small or a millionth part. Whereas macro derived from again Greek word macros, M-A-K-R-O-S, macros. It is derived from a Greek word. Macro has been derived from macros, Greek word. So which means big, large. So once again, micro means small, macro means big or large. Is it clear to you? So we are going to now understand them, the difference between them. So microeconomics together, microeconomics deals with or studies the analysis of small units of economy or individual units of economy. It doesn't deal with the big units of economy or overall units of economy. Microeconomics doesn't deal with the big or large units of economy. It deals only with small units of or individual units of economy. Is it clear to you? Next, macroeconomics concerned with or deals with overall or aggregate performance of the economy. Aggregate means entire performance of economy. It doesn't deal with the individuals. Macro doesn't deal with the individuals, whereas micro deals with the small units and individual units, whereas macro deals with the aggregate or entire or big units of the economy, how they perform, how they work, or how do they function. So analysis of overall performance of economy, analysis of overall units of economy, whereas micro, it is individual. Microeconomics is also called as price theory, because here every individual unit performs, works and functions based on the price. Price becomes the basis for guiding principle in microeconomics. So therefore it is called as price theory. Once again, the microeconomics is an analysis of the behavior of any small decision-making unit, whereas macroeconomics is an analysis of the behavior of larger decision-making unit. Larger means aggregates, big or overall. It is also known as the theory of income and employment. Macroeconomics is known as the theory of income and employment. Here, the macroeconomics studies or the guiding principles of all the activities in the macroeconomics is the income and the employment. Income and employment is the main thrust, whereas the price becomes the main thrust of microeconomics, whereas the theory of income and employment becomes the main thrust or the main study of macroeconomics. We will see that in the coming chapters, both. Microeconomics comprises of the theory of individual units, such as theory of consumer behavior. Theory of consumer behavior means individual behavior, individual consumer, one who purchases goods and services for his consumption is called as consumer. Consumer means a person who buys goods and services for consumption. Next, theory of wages. There are many things, but only few I have discussed. As we see microeconomics, you will understand the theory of various variables in microeconomics. Whereas macroeconomics includes. Macroeconomics includes the theory of aggregate units such as theory of income, theory of employment, theory of investment, so and so forth. There are many theories, but all in aggregates. Aggregates means in a larger decision-making units. It doesn't deals with the smaller decision-making unit. Macroeconomics deals with a larger or aggregate decision-making units. Like theory of income studies, it studies about theory of employment and theory of investment. Microeconomics studies the partial equilibrium in the economy. Partial, a part of the economy, if it is in correct equilibrium, we'll study that. What is equilibrium also? Partial equilibrium. Whereas macroeconomics studies with the general equilibrium. Entire economy should be in equilibrium. So we will deal what is equilibrium separately. So please understand, it studies the partial equilibrium. Microeconomics studies partial equilibrium. Macroeconomics studies general equilibrium in the economy. So this is the 2 marks question. That is sufficient. We have again this one for 4 marks. We will see it very elaborately, not in the first chapter of microeconomics, but in the second chapter of macroeconomics. First chapter of macroeconomics. It is more detailed one. Why? Because once you understand micro, there would be sufficient understanding how it is contradictory to micro is macro. So after studying only an introduction this part, the distinction between micro and macro is an introductory part. Here it is discussed, but more elaborate part is discussed in the first chapter of macroeconomics. We'll see them very deeply and understand them. Now, the economics also can be divided into 2 parts. Economics, positive economics and normative economics. In microeconomics as well as in macroeconomics, you can see positive economics as well as normative economics. What is positive economics? It states the everything as it is. It states as it is. Whereas normative economics doesn't state what it is, rather it states what should be and what should not be. So it is stating what it is a positive economics. Stating what should be is a normative economics. What is the difference between the statements here? What it is, it's a as it is what is happening. What should be means what must be done. So should is the word that differentiate both of them. So first of all, we will see positive economics. It studies what it was and what it is under a given set of circumstances. A given set of condition, what it is and what it is. If it is rains, the football court will be wet. That is what it is. What it is. If it rains, the football court will be wet. This is under a given circumstances, what it is going to happen. Whereas normative economics, it studies what ought to be. What ought to be means what should be, and what ought not to be. What ought not to be means what should not be under a given set of circumstances. In a given set of circumstances, what should be and what should not be is studied by normative economics. So, if it rains, it's good for playing football. What is your opinion? It's good for playing football. So, the same condition, but what it should be. So, it should be great for playing football. So, that is the condition of them or a subjective opinion of them. So, I'll come back to that. Whereas positive economics explains cause and effect relation. What is the cause? What is the effect between economic variables? Economic variables. Therefore, it deals with the scientific explanation of the working of the economy. So, scientific explanation of the working of the economy. Whereas normative economics doesn't deal with the cause and effect, it deals with the rightness and wrongness. Rightness and wrongness. What is correct? what is not correct. The relationship between the economic variables, is it a right cause and effect relation or a wrong cause and effect economic relationship between the variables? That is what it sees. It doesn't see anything else. It deals with the value-based judgments or ethics in the working of the economy. It deals with the value-based judgments. So any statement, so since government took very, very precocious steps, they could avoid coronavirus effect. So this is cause and effect. Whereas normative economics, the government should have taken the better steps to avoid coronavirus in India. The government should have taken the better steps other than vaccination to reduce the coronavirus. So they give should statement. So that kind of statements are called normative economic statements. Third one, it deals with positive economics deals with the different mechanism functions. How do they function? How will they function? That's all. How do they function? Whereas normative economics deals with whether the mechanisms are desirable or not, correct or not. So how it works, it explains positive, and how it should have been, or what it should not have been, the rightness or wrongness, or correct or not, or desirable or not desirable, it is being discussed by positive economics. Finally, positive economics can be verified with factual data. So you can have a testimony because proofs are available. This is a cause, this is the effect. Therefore, it is based on objective facts. Objective facts means it is agreeable to everyone. And it is neutral between the ends. Neutral means it doesn't stand for any subjective arguments. It is not a subjective argument. It is neither says what is right, what is wrong. Positive economics never says what is right and what is wrong. Whereas normative economics cannot be verified with factual data or actual data, because it is a subjective based opinion or subjective based statement it is. So my statement cannot be taken scientifically and argued upon. So there is no scientific data. It's my belief that the government would have gone with the better health infrastructure to avoid corona. That's my opinion. The government should take more care on health infrastructure. It's not should. So if nutrition also is better. So it is not neutral between the ends. It always takes the position. This is right and this is wrong. Whereas positive economics never says right and wrong. Therefore, it is in between, neutral, neither yes nor no. Whereas positive statement always takes a decision making and it says this is right and this is wrong. Therefore, it is not neutral between the ends. Ends means the statements. With that, the 2 marks are elaborately understood, and we will see from the beginning the 1 marks and 2 marks questions. So the first one is fill in the blanks. The first 4 are with the options and other 4 are without options. So there are many options, but options also have marked in the answer with the bracket. The scarce resources of an economy have dash. They have given options, many options. The first option will be competing usages. The scarce resources of an economy has dash alternative usages. Alternative is called also competing usages. Please remember this option called A. Which of the following, they will give you so many 4 options. Which of the following is an example of microeconomic study? Microeconomic study. Consumer behavior, I have given you in the example, please remember consumer behavior. Because so many options, it doesn't match all that following options I've given for macroeconomics, one that is given for microeconomics, that is consumer behavior. The option is B. So four options again given. Which of the following is the best example for macroeconomic variable? So all other variables are best examples for microeconomics, but B option again is a best example for macroeconomics, that is aggregate. It deals with the aggregate. So whereas individual demand is a microeconomics variable, whereas aggregate demand is a macroeconomic variable. Economic, it's not economics, it is economic. So what are the central problems of economy, or central problems of economy includes dash. Option A, what to produce. Option B, how to produce. Option C, for whom to produce. And option D is all of the above. If you have chosen what to produce, the answer is wrong. Or options B, how to produce, the answer is still wrong. And option C, for whom to produce, the answer is still wrong. But the option D, all of the above, all the three together is called as central problems of economy. With that, four optional answers are given. You have to choose from the multiple answers. Now it is purely fill in the blanks, but prepare as if you do not have an option, so that the answer is quite easy to you to write it without the options also. Traditionally, the subject matter of economics has been divided under dash broad branches, under the following broad branches. So microeconomics traditionally has been divided into traditionally two branches. One is microeconomics, the other one is macroeconomics. So two branches. Scarcity of resources give rise to dash problem of choice. The scarcity of resources and which has alternative uses give rise to problem of choice, or economic problem, or basic economic problems, or central problems of economy. So the many answers are there, but problem of choice is a better one. In a centrally planned economy, all the important decisions are made by the government. Centrally planned economy, or a socialistic economy. So all the economic decisions are made by whom? The government. Whereas in capitalistic economy, all the important decisions are made by entrepreneurs or private individuals. You can put the question the other way. In reality, all the economies of the world, economies of the world, not economics it is, economies, plural of economy. Economies of the world are dash. So in reality, all the economies of the world, one or the other way, are mixed economy. There is no pure central planned economy or capitalistic economy, or no socialistic, no capitalistic completely, except one or two countries. So match the following. I have given you right match: market economy or capitalistic economy. Who is the owner? Private individuals. Service of a teacher is purely based on skill. And central planned economy, who owns all the factors, all the decision making? The government. Positive economics, just we saw, it's a functioning of mechanism. It deals with the functioning of the economy, or deals with the mechanism of functioning of the economy. Positive economics, I have given you as an answer. Whereas normative evaluates the mechanism. So evaluates the economy. Evaluates means right, and it says what is wrong. So evaluation means what is right, what is wrong, it says. It never sees the function and writes it down. It sees the function and states what is right and what is wrong, or it is not neutral between the ends. Normative economics is not neutral between the ends, whereas positive economics is neutral between the ends. So one is a functioning, the other one is a evaluation. Positive economics is a functioning of the mechanism, whereas normative economics is a evaluate the mechanism. So with that, the match the following is also over. 1 mark question. Why does the central problems or the problems of economy arises, or what is problem of choice? So the mismatch between unlimited human wants and limited resources, and these limited resources have alternative uses, give rise to problem of choice. The resources which has alternative uses give rise to problem of choice because it doesn't match with the unlimited human wants. This give rise to mismatch between them, give rise to problem of choice. What is market economy? It is an economy in which the economic decisions are undertaken by the entrepreneurs or the capitalists on the basis of, so they make decisions or they make economic decisions. Who makes? Entrepreneurs. Based on what? Based on the price, based on the market mechanism. In the market, what mechanism rise? Everything is decided by the price, the market. Therefore, it is called as market mechanism. The market, who decide everything? It's a price decides. Therefore, it is called as price mechanism. What do you mean by central planned economy? It's an economy in which economic decisions are undertaken by central government with the motive of public welfare. So here the motive is public welfare. There everything is based on market mechanism or price mechanism. In central planned economy, it is the government takes decisions, economic decisions with the motive of public welfare. Give the meaning of microeconomics. It is the study of economic actions of individual and small units of individuals, small group of individual or small units of individuals. It is a study. Microeconomics is a study of what? Economic actions. Whose economic actions? Individuals or small group of individuals. Give the meaning of macroeconomics if the question would have come. It is a study of economic action of larger individuals or larger economic variables, or it speaks about entire or aggregate units of economy. Aggregate units of economy. What do you mean by positive economics? What do you mean by positive economics? I have given you small statements. Any one is quite sufficient. It is the study of what it is and what it was under a given set of circumstances. This is quite sufficient. It is a study of what it is and what it was. It is means now, what it was means in the past under a given set of circumstances. Because positive economics deals with the scientific explanation of the working of the economy. It deals with the study, the functions of different mechanisms as it is and as it was. It studies the functioning of different mechanisms in the economy as it is and as it was. It never evaluates. What is normative economics? It studies what ought to be and what ought not to be, what should be or what it should not be done. It is discussed. Therefore, it is evaluating different mechanisms of the economy, and it states how it should be operated and functioned. So, evaluation means how it should be done and what it should not be done. ನೀವು ಹೇಗಿರಬೇಕು ಹೇಗಿರಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ or ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವುದು? ನಾರ್ಮೇಟಿವ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್. So already we have discussed 2 marks question, smaller and detailed, that is mention the central problems of economy. The central problems of economy are what to produce and in what quantities. It is a problem of choosing which goods and services should be produced in what quantities. Directly arises from the scarcity of resources. You can write for 2 marks. How to produce? How are these goods and services produced? It is a problem of choosing the techniques or technologies of production. For whom to produce? for whom these goods and services are produced. It is a problem of distribution of national income and national products. Already we have discussed distinguish between microeconomics and macroeconomics. In the previous class we were discussing about what do you mean by production possibility frontier. So it is a curve which depicts all the possible combinations of two goods which an economy can produce with available resources, full and efficient employment of resources under a given technology during a specific period of time. That is quite sufficient. So when we are writing that, what are the points it includes? Because to differentiate production possibility curve and set, I am going to, curve means frontier, set means it's a different one, I am going to explain now. So it indicates all the resources, means all the inputs are completely and efficiently utilized. There is no wastage. It indicates all the maximum level of output possibilities for two goods. Any combination if you take, it's all maximum level of output you can produce of two goods. All combinations of two goods of production possibility frontier. All the combinations, any one you take on the production possibility frontier of two goods, the maximum that you can get out of the given resources. So now I am going to explain you the difference. First read out or understand what is production possibility set. It refers to a collection of all those combinations. It's not a curve. It refers to the collection of all those possible combination. Same. There it is a curve, it is a collection. What is it collection? All possible combinations. See the production possibility frontier, there also of two goods. There also of two goods that can be produced from a given amount of resources, There also from a given amount of resources or given or available resources. Produced by whom? By an economy. Under a given technology. Of course, under a stock of technology means stock of knowledge, which is constant. Here, one word is missing. One characteristic is full and efficient employment or utilization of resources is missing. When full and efficient utilization of resources never happens, at that time, all those combinations comes under production possibility set. Of course. So that is, it is not the area above the production possibility curve. On the curve, it never falls any combinations on the curve. It is below that. It includes all the combinations of two goods on the production possibility frontier and the combinations below it. So no combination, production possibility set combinations never fall on the production possibility curve. Remember, where does it fall then? It is below it. If you draw a curve, below it falls means, especially I have taken a combination when I am explaining, it is G combination. Whereas inefficient or underutilization of resources happens. But you can get the possible combination of two goods, which an economy can produce with a given technology during a specific period of time. Why it is not so? Why it is not on the production possibility curve? Here the resources may be or may not be completely and efficiently utilized in the production of two goods. Therefore, you can't reach there. If you reach, it's on the curve. If you don't reach, it is the combinations below the production possibility curve. What is opportunity cost? Opportunity cost refers to the next best alternative sacrificed in order to produce a particular good. It is the next best alternative sacrificed to produce a particular good. To understand that, if a farmer has an acre of land, he can produce paddy or wheat, either paddy or wheat. If he produces paddy, he has to sacrifice wheat. If he produces paddy, He has to sacrifice wheat because he cannot produce paddy and wheat at a time. Now, if he produces paddy, wheat becomes the cost. Wheat production becomes the cost. Therefore, it is called, so I am sacrificed wheat for the production of paddy. So, which is the best alternative which has been sacrificed? The paddy. To produce, the best alternative I have sacrificed is the wheat. It is the cost of wheat that has been the next best alternative which has been sacrificed in order to produce a particular good called paddy. So when I produce paddy, the production of wheat becomes the sacrificed one, which is an alternative to paddy. It is also called as alternative cost. It's also called as economic cost. It is also called as transfer earning. It is always discussed in the context of choice. So, because resources cannot satisfy two wants immediately at a time. Therefore, if you use for the production of one, you can't use the same for the production of the other. The best example I'm giving, a land can be used for the cultivation either paddy or wheat. If you produce paddy, the sacrificing one is the wheat, that becomes the sacrificed cost. This next best alternative which has been sacrificed is called as opportunity cost. For producing what? For producing a particular good. What is a particular good here? The paddy. With this, we are stopping. With that, you can understand better. So keep in mind, write down these question answers of 2 marks and afterwards you write the 4 marks. With that, we are going to end the video.